Today, we would like to share one of our dreaming stories of the Biladurang, which is the platypus. Now, this belongs to about 10 different Aboriginal nations. And all these little burai down here, they've been working really hard. So, Mariah is going to introduce the story, but we hope that you enjoy our performance and one of our shared stories from our creator. There, honey.
We hope you enjoy our dreaming story of the Biladurang.
In the Gujeen, the time of the dreaming, God's creation, there lived a family of ducks on the Narran Lakes near Walgett, New South Wales. Gamilaroi, Uralroi, Uluroi country. The ducks swam freely in these waters, and their bellies was always full from the bountiful food that the Narran Lakes provided to them and all of the other animals that call this beautiful place their home. There were lots of duck families and they all lived happily there. The elders, like they did in all other communities, set rules and expectations for the ducklings to keep them safe and out of harm's way, to make sure they were always doing the right thing. It's our responsibility to keep you safe. You're never to go swimming by yourself. Always let someone know where you are going. You must always stay on this side of the lake. You must keep our law so it will keep you safe. The ducklings all knew where they had to swim. They had to stay in groups and let the aunties and uncles know where they were at all times. This was how they looked after one another. On the other side of the large lake lived the Bigun, the water rat. He was mean and nasty. Bigun was a scary-looking creature that wandered the lake alone. He was a lonely creature. From his side of the lake, he would watch the ducks swimming around, wading through the lily pads, diving for fish. His plan was to steal a young female duck away from her family and make her his wife. One very hot day, one of the young female ducklings, Gaygan, went swimming with two of her friends. Gaygan, quick, it's getting late, and you know what the elders say? They warned us about that sneaky water rat, Bigun. Quick, it's time to swim back to the Nurang before the sun goes down, otherwise that nasty water rat will come looking for us. Gaygan refused to leave. No, I'm not coming. You go without me. I want to stay on the lake a little bit longer and soak up the last of the sunshine. Not wanting to disappoint the elders and break the rules of the flock, Gaygan's friends paddled furiously across the water, returning to the Nurang, their nest. Gaygan, enjoying her long and relaxing swim, waddled out to the middle of the lake where she felt something grab her. My goodness, what was that? She said as she turned and expected it to be one of her friends playing tricks on her. But she was wrong. She looked behind to see ripples in the water and a large shadow swimming just beneath the surface of the lake. Up popped, he said. It was Bigun, the nasty water rat. Gaygan knew she was in trouble. She felt immediately she had made the wrong decision and screamed for help. Help! Help! Somebody help me! Her voice echoed across the water, but no one heard her. Her friends were long gone. She struggled with Bigun as he dragged her to his cave on the other side of the Narran Lakes, where he held her hostage in his cave. Please let me go. Please let me go back to my flock, Gaygan trembled. I will never let you go, little duckling. You will stay here forever. You will keep me company. You will be my wife. Gaygan laid awake through the night, and she sobbed as she made promises to herself. I will never disobey my elders again. If only I could break free from this mean and nasty water rat. For many months he kept her hidden from her family, and Gaygan began to lose hope. She prayed and she prayed for Creator God to help her escape, to be able to return to her home. Gaygan noticed Bighorn Water Rat was very tired. He curled up in his home off the edge of the riverbank and went into a deep sleep. Gaygan waited for a long time to make sure he was not ready to wake up any time soon. She waddled slowly and carefully out of his house, making every effort not to wake him. She glided quietly into the water, and when she got far enough away from Bighorn that he couldn't hear her, she began to flap and paddle as fast as she could to the other side of the lake where her family was waiting for her. Gaygan, Gaygan, they quacked, relieved to see her. They were all very glad to have her back with them. Come over here in the reeds and make your nest near me. Gaygan made her nest, laid her eggs and sat on them, waiting patiently for her babies to hatch. A few weeks later, her babies were born. Gosh, they're ugly, one of the forensics said. Rumours spread around the flock about how different Gaygan's babies were from the other ducklings. Distasteful chatter filled the camp. They're not pretty and yellow like my babies, one duck said. They have brown fur instead of yellow feathers, said another. The ruckus reached the elders, where they were told about the odd appearance of Gaygan's babies. Their beaks are large and more rounded than the other ducklings, and their tails are the same shape as their beaks. They had spurs on their two back feet. We can't swim with them. Gaygan felt sad as she realised that there was no place in the flock for her and her babies. All of her friends and families did not understand why they were different. Gaygan, whispered one of her friends, you need to leave quickly. The elders are planning to take your babies. You have to get out of here. Gaygan knew her babies were different, but she loved them all the same, and she decided she needed to get them away where they would be safe. She swam down the river system through many countries, her babies following. Gamilaroi, Niempa, Wongabong, eventually coming to Wiradjuri country. Gaygan swam along the Wambul, the Macquarie River, where she started to notice that the water was very cold. She ended her long journey at the waterhole known as Flat Rock, just outside of Bathurst. Gaygan was exhausted and couldn't swim anymore. That night, Gaygan died. The water was too cold and the environment was too different from what her body was used to. Luckily, Gaygan's babies thrived. Their furry bodies allowed them to live in the cold water, and they grew up and spread across the river system in the central tablelands and the Blue Mountains. Today they still swim there, with many of their offsprings in these waterways. This dreaming story belongs to a number of different Aboriginal nations that each share and look after a particular part of the story. The Uluru and Niemba and Gamilaroi people focus on sharing the lessons of the beginning, bringing attention to the importance of community, looking after one another and following the rules set down by the knowledgeable ones to share for community and look after the children. As Gaygan travelled, she left parts of her story for Aboriginal clan groups along the river system to learn and care for. She eventually ended up in Wiradjuri country, where her resting place is. When God made man, he placed him in the garden to look after it and protect it. The stories are part of God's plan and teaching. Responsibility was placed on the peoples of this land to look after it, protect it, and care for the law that God had placed on the land, plants and animals. God was in the land. God was in the Aboriginal people of Australia. He continues to live on today through the stories that have been kept alive by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We are grateful to be able to share with you the creation story of God's creature, Biladurang, the platypus. Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.